Hi, Mr. Perry. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. I know right now
Yes.
you're the CEO of Redford Capital. Can you talk a little bit about the company?
First of all, it's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to meet your audience. The goal is people want how to make their life better, and change is the only constant of life. And I've always believed that. Redford is, I started Redford, and there's a lot of variations. I've started 9 companies, at least had the chance in life to. Um, Redford, the initial genesis of Redford Capital was a private equity fund. So I raised money from several governments and finance companies. We raised in all over the 10 years, 12-year period, almost a billion and 1.2 plus billion dollars. So that's the private equity business of Redford. So we built the eBay campus in Juniper campus, Networks campus in Exora. It's called Exora now. It's called Prestige Tech Park in Bangalore. We built and finance. We didn't build ourselves. We were just a private equity partner. So that's the private equity business that as institutional capital, we run, invest. Our goal is to give opportunistic return to investors, and they seek returns adjusted for Indian returns. So most people will target, let's just say X%. Opportunistic returns target a little bit more, 1.5X returns. Then Redford has something very important, which is touching the small business of India, which is everywhere, which is almost a 4.2 trillion rupees की demand है India में small business loans की. And small business is a extremely underserved market. It's so important. जैसे manufacturing businesses, you need working capital, you need machinery financing, you need receivable financing, you need purchasing, trucking industries. So we provide financing in this in the finance business, which is the non-bank finance company business of Redford Capital, uh, which is a firm-owned book, which is 100% owned by the firm. We only do small business loans, and our goal is to do something that nobody did before, which is loans in 7 days. In a market जिसमें small business loan आप किसी बड़े बैंक पे जाएं, and they're respectable banks, but process होता है यार, because it's a सरकारी काम. Now, that doesn't add value to a person across. So I think the way I look at life, it's not just Redford, it's what is it that I am doing today and how is that adding value to someone else? And is it adding value to me? And that's how we are in this discussion today, and all the viewers are listening, is how is it adding value to their life? And how this discussion is adding value to yourselves and myself. And part of that is as long as you keep that in mind, आप कोई business करते हैं, आप personal choices करते हैं, always think from the vantage point of yourself and from the other person. And it makes a massive difference. It's a very simple thing to say, but that's where it is. So Redford, to summarize, is just the private equity business and a financing company focused on loans to small business. We have amazing partners. State Bank of India is a partner of ours, and lots of other people. And we look forward to helping small business make a transition and change the speed of how loans are provided in India, and hopefully make a change in the market. We've built a name for that, and we look forward to working with those who are interested.
Okay. So, Mr. Perry, I just want to understand that Redford Capital was a PE fund while it was incepted. And why do you transition to giving small loans to small medium businesses also?
So, so why was Redford a private equity? Because there was no real, it was not a private equity, it was a real estate private equity. So India opened the doors to real estate private equity in 2003, approximately. The FDI regulations came around. And I knew the demand of real estate. I had done some projects in India. I obviously had a lot of extensive experience in institutional investments and in real estate. And I thought there was a great need for a product, and India needed it. So Redford Private Equity Real Estate Finance Company has financed more than 40 million square feet. 4 crore square feet of real estate is owned by or financed by us. We own a big chunk of it. We sold most of it. Now that as changes in the markets, and there's obviously competitors came, and we were one of the largest funds in the market at that time. Some things happened in my personal life. I actually went through an accident and I was in coma. I came out of coma, and I reflected on my life and what is it that makes me happy. It had been a decade and a half of me running the fund, so I took a break, um, and I stepped out, um, and I looked at life, and I read extensively. I enjoy reading. So if you follow my book list, it's on my website, parrysingh.com. Um, I like to travel, and I enjoy all of these things. And then it occurred to me, and I looked at needs. So in the process, I have started two companies. So Redford Capital Finance is a company focused on things that, again, is focused on businesses. I noticed that most businesses it takes forever to get a loan. आपको पैसे चाहिए, and there's an opportunity if you were willing to. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आप अगर हॉस्पिटल जाते हैं आईसीयू में और आपको कोई कहता है यार तू 5 रुपए बचा के ना, तू बचा सकता है, तो पर आईवी जो है ना, तू कल तक ले लियो, आज नहीं मिलेगी तेरे, तो बंदा बोलेगा यार 5 रुपए ज्यादा ले लो मेरे से यार, राइट? सो द एंड नाउ द इशू इज उसको इंस्टेंट लोन देने में बहुत दिक्कत लगती है. सो द टीम ऑफ रेडफोर्ट हैज ऑलवेज बीन अमेजिंग. हम जाते हैं बेस्ट ऑफ द बेस्ट ऑफ इंडिया. आप कोई भी जाते हैं, हम वी really the smartest. मैं आपको बताता हूँ, if I tell you the interview questions includes, like, what is the um what is the square root of, people say square root of 9, I'll say what is the square root of 0.9, and it turns out the number of is bigger than this, is the square root of zero point 0.9 is bigger than 9, and it takes people by surprise. But you will find that that's the kind of people that we'll have in the team that will help us get the loan in 7 days. उसको करने के लिए आपको एक प्रोसेस, उसमें गलतियां होती हैं, हम भी गलतियां करते हैं, we can make mistakes, but we've built a rhythm on this, and because we do, we will charge 2 टका ज्यादा. क्यों? क्योंकि यार उस टीम को पैसे देने, 7 दिन में बेचारों की जिंदगी खराब हो जाती है, to land somewhere on demand, and and it takes a lot of work, and I want to compensate them, so the team makes more money, but the value is incredible. But we focus on the value बहुत है. आप हम हफ्ते के हमारे पास 100 लोन एप्लीकेशन आते हैं. हमारा सारा सिस्टम इलेक्ट्रॉनिक है. इट्स द होल लोन एप्लीकेशन सिस्टम इज fully digital. We are fully in touch with, like, we are integrated into machine learning on the application side. We are loan management. But why? Because we want to keep our costs down, that we can pass the same benefit to the borrower. Otherwise, they'll have to keep a higher cost. Anyway, so life comes down to adding value.
So, Mr. Perry, so businesses are very dynamic in nature. I mean, you cannot predict what will happen a week after or even 1 month after. So, how does all that is taken into account while processing a business loan application?
No, you're absolutely right. Um, you see, the nature of life is pretty dynamic, and the reason why human beings are so intelligent is to change with that. Now, अगर आप bureaucratic process में constant change डालो तो approval ही नहीं होती. That's the reason why loan approvals take forever. आप चले जाएं बड़े बैंक के पास, वो बेचारा बोलेगा सर मेरे को उन्होंने गाइडलाइन दिया, आपने ये वो टैक्स रिटर्न नहीं. मैं आपको एग्जांपल देता हूँ. एक बंदे की लोन एप्लीकेशन फंसी हुई थी, उसने टैक्स रिटर्न दी, वो साल निकल गया यार. इससे आप बोला नई वाली ले आओ, कहता सर नई वाली तो मार्च में ड्यू है, अभी तो है, अब फिर वेट कर लेते हैं सर. सो लिटरली द प्रोसेस गेट्स सो लॉन्ग. नाउ हाउ डू यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट? So the verse is, what is the most important for you as a person? How do I learn? I'm insanely curious. एक बंदा है Charlie Munger. He's written a very book called um, he's one of the big shareholders of Berkshire Hathaway. He Warren Buffett का partner है. And Charlie Munger says, you have to be amazingly curious. Like, you have to be curious and always be asking questions and learn the big things about every discipline that you can. And part of the reason all these amazing people who work at Redford are with us, and they are some really top league guys, and you'll notice that they are, um, is because it's so fun to learn so many things. हम आपको example देते हैं. For example, we are lenders to Blackwater. अरे यार, alkaline water company. Evocus, we've lent to them. We are lenders to spinning companies. We're lending to truck financing companies. We are lenders to doctors, cardiologists. We're lenders to AV equipment setup guys. Public companies and private companies. We're lenders to real estate companies. but we do mostly business. We will take the time to learn an industry, and if we cannot add value to them, then we won't do the deal. हम उसमें कहते हैं हमारी philosophy बड़ी simple है. It's published on our website. It says, look, man, we'll only do things that we can add value in. And if you can't, then हम आपको स्पीड में पैसे देते हैं, आपको उसकी वैल्यू है, हम करेंगे, पर वो नहीं. We only look for long term relationships. क्यों? क्योंकि यार small shit, life is long, you'll come back. So most of our borrowers will always come back to us. What does that do? It reduces the cost of doing a loan. And why will they come back to you? Because we keep our promise. We always keep our promise. Why? I believe in it. आप कहते हैं ना, as a human being, if you make a commitment and you keep a commitment, you become a very honorable man. But you know why? Because it's easy for someone else to understand. कि यार they say, अच्छा, that, he's solid, yeah. What does that mean? Does that mean you can count on him? What does that mean? If he makes a promise, he's going to keep it. बहुत पहले यार उससे पैसे लेना है, किसी और से ले यार, इससे ले लो यार, उसको हमें पता ही कौन सी. So this is a known animal. And so that known animal, in any example, so for example, I have created 9 companies. When I went to raise money, the first time I went to raise money was a company called ethnicgrocer.com. मैं second year business school में था. मैं Northwestern Kellogg में MBA कर रहा था. तो मैंने क्लास में एक business plan present किया in my entrepreneurship class, and there was a venture capitalist, and we got a term sheet for $1.5 million. यार मेरे पास तो company नहीं थी कोई. मतलब we didn't have it. We hadn't incorporated an idea. It was just an idea. So we incorporated, we raised the money, but then we ended up raising money. I saw Vinod Khosla speaking at a Thai event. The Thai में US में the Indus entrepreneur का event था. And I remember going to my business partner at that time. I'm like, dude, I want to. He was at Kleiner Perkins. I say, yaar, ye to eBay, these are cool. We learned something from him. And I said, I want to take money from him. And now we became a darling startup. Everybody wanted to give us money. And I went to Silicon Valley, and I went to Benchmark Capital, Virginia. I mean, and Chase Capital Partners, everybody. I said, I will take money from you only if I get money. So Kanwal Rekhi, one of the original founders of Thai, I said, Kanwal, I'll take money from you if you get me Vinod Khosla. So then on the third day in the Silicon Valley, Vinod Khosla calls me. He goes, Parry, I've gotten calls from I don't know how many people. I'd like to meet you. So we're talking, so he was interested. And he said, he told me a story, and I'm going from a story to a story. He said, look, when I was graduating Stanford, because he went to Stanford Business School, his mother wanted him to, he had an offer to go work for a consulting company. I can't remember the name. And that would have made him a good salary, $250,000 or something. And he told his mother, I am going to start my first company. It was called Daisy Printers. And that's what he shared with me. And obviously his mother said, big Q. And he says, at what point in my life will I have an ability to take risk? The ability to take risk is highest when you're younger, not when I have 5 kids or 2 kids or 3 kids and responsibility. So I'm merging a few sets of points here. But as we go through, you asked me the question is, how do you evaluate businesses and industries? Point is, be aware of constant change and the curiosity. So build a team that's curious. That's the answer to that question. But then we move on. And as we go through life and transitions, you find that everything is an opportunity to learn. Like, कई बारी ढीठ लोग भी सीख जाते. I was obstinate that I only want client. अब क्यों? I'll tell you why. Because I thought it was the best of the best of the best. And because I'm so curious and I'm so hardworking and I make sure that everybody understands. And I don't do this my लोगों को ये नहीं कहता कि मैं hardworking. देखिए मेरे बच्चों को आप देखिए वो बोलते हैं यार तुम. I don't tell them to read. I read myself. The best example is by doing it. अगर आप हमारी टीम से पूछोगे यार वो ये पैरी करता क्या यार, वो बोलता तो मैं Five people ask me what do you do, मैं कहता हूँ I'm professionally unemployed. लोग भी हंसते हैं, उनको समझ नहीं आती क्या होता है. But the point is, and I say that because think that's the way I will do anything. आप मेरे से कॉफी बनवानी चाहेंगे ना, तो मैं भी बड़े प्यार से बनाऊँ। आप मेरी 100 ml की चाय पी के देखो यार, मैं उसको बम वाली चाय कहता हूँ। उसकी रेसिपी बड़ी मजेदार है, मेरे को मजेदार। So point is, you have to do it for your pleasure. I'm going to tie all these things together. It's your life. It's your choice. What do you do with it? But if you're adding value to someone else, then they're gonna add value to you. And for some reason, I've never really focused on money, but money seemed to have just come as long as it's held that. And I landed. I remember my US में जब लैंड किया, मेरी जेब में $50 थे। मेरे को स्कॉलरशिप मिली थी, मैं चला गया, यार $50 थे मेरे पास। I don't forget. That's where I come from.
Okay. So, Mr. Perry, you have also started 9 companies so far. Every time you start a company, has the process become easier with time?
Here's. I think it's not just that. I. I think the success rate has increased as a percentage. Not saying that I don't have failures. I've tried to do pretty aggressive projects. Dream big. Um, if you aim for the stars, you might not end up getting there, but you end up a lot higher than where you started getting. If you aim for the stars, you might not reach them, but you'll end up a lot higher than where you started. So, yes, but one of the lessons I've learned over going, like, always focus on what value is this company and this startup creating for you. If it's for you and for the person who's going to use it. And if it's true, a lot of people build companies for valuation. That's just nonsense. Build companies that create value and make value for you. And what is value for you? That money, paise banati hai, but theek hai. For example, I started a company in COVID called cardoctor.com. It's a diagnostic. It originally started I built a great app with a great OBD adapter to check. OBD adapters are what you plug into a car to check the car check engine error care. And that was part of an app that we had built. And we offered an inspection service across the country in the United States. If you want to buy a used car, and used cars account for 3/4 of all cars sold in the United States, then we will help you find a car for a token amount of money. And then the inspectors will be given an app and a hardware product, and they plug it in and they walk around and do the inspection. And we charge for the service. And COVID happened. This is in COVID we made it, and COVID got acute, and the inspectors just didn't want to go on the inspection. They just didn't want to leave home. So we realized that this business, and then all the auction people and the dealerships that we were doing the inspection at, उन्होंने कहा यार ये हमारे को ना, तुम्हारी यार ये ओबीडी डायग्नोस्टिक्स बड़ी खतरनाक है, तुम उसकी वैल्यू भी निकाल देते हो, तुम ना वो कंज्यूमर वाला बिजनेस छोड़ दो, तो हमारे को सिर्फ डायग्नोस्टिक सर्विस, just give us that diagnostic service. So we pivoted the company. So why I'm telling you the story, I pivoted the business from being an inspection service that was charging per inspection to a diagnostic service that sells to dealers. So we ended up, turns out we had an amazing adapter, which we did, and a hardware and software combination. So we improved that. So we pivoted the business, and we went from, we read it's called the OBD, onboard diagnostics code, of every computer system in the car, from body chassis codes. But most OBD generic readers read what they call as P code, which are generic codes. And their body codes and their chassis codes and unibody codes, those are hard to get and specific to manufacture. So we became members of all the associations. We paid the fees to get them. So we do every brand of every car. Now what happens is, आपने dealership में पुरानी गाड़ी लेनी है ना, तो वो टोयोटा डीलरशिप हो सकती है, यूज कार सेल्समैन है, उसको क्या पता कि यार हुंडई का कौन सा कोड. He doesn't have the machine. We will do every brand, every car. You want a Mercedes, Hyundai, Honda, Toyota, Lexus, we'll do all of them. And that adds value to a dealership. मैं उससे हम महीने के हम between $300 and $700 a monthly subscription बेचते हैं उनको. So we crossed 100 dealerships now. And we have a sales force that sells, not doing inspections, but sells to dealerships. Now we have such a fine product. Very big auto companies have now come to us, and they want to use this product in their service centers because it's better than their bada wala. We have a small app with a small piece, and just the value. Anyway, the point of what I'm trying to say is, things might not always work out the way you want. and business will always change. You just have to be curious enough to pivot and watch the value. आप लोगों के लिए वैल्यू नहीं ऐड करें. हमारे को कार डॉक्टर में कोविड हो गया यार, तो इंस्पेक्टर ड्रॉप्ड आउट. सो दैट्स अ रियल बिग लॉस टू मी. अब उसका हम क्या कर सकते हैं यार. तो वी पिवटेड दैट बिजनेस. अब मेरे यार गिन के 100 इंस्पेक्टर थे पहले, अब गिन के यार 6 सेल्स पर्सन रह गए हैं, which is easy to manage in COVID or not. So we came out of COVID actually doing better than we did because we changed. And if we hadn't, the Rajiv Band, the doors would have been shut down. And that's life. So change is a constant of life. And you look at every business with the vantage point of, A, are you curious? All you have to do is, बड़ा सिंपल है. हमारे कल्चर में बड़ी सिंपल चीज है. बनिया स्कूल ऑफ एजुकेशन बहुत सिंपल है. सर ये पाइप है, यहाँ से पैसे आते हैं, ये होल है, यहाँ से पैसे बाहर चले जाते हैं. जो बीच में रह जाते हैं ना, वो अपना पैसा है. आप पैसे वो अंदर की सप्लाई बढ़ा लो, खर्चे कम कर लो, जो बच गया वो आपका प्रॉफिट है. मतलब सिंपल, दैट्स बिजनेस यार. आप उसको कैसे बढ़ा सकते हैं? मार्केटिंग कर सकते हैं. मार्केटिंग कॉस्ट प्रैग्मेटिक रखेंगे तो ज्यादा आ जाएगा. सो नाउ यू हैव टू अपनी टीम की कॉस्ट कैसे करेंगे, रिलायबिलिटी, यानी ऑल ऑफ दोस factors that we call business. It's natural. That comes down to add value to the people who are in your team, add value to your borrowers. हमारे borrowing business है, add value to your customers. And if they don't add value to you, then thank you very much, sir.
Okay. Uh, so, Mr. Perry, also recently a lot of technological advancements have been made in the field of AI. So we have ChatGPT 3 and recently ChatGPT 4 also. A lot of entry workers feel that their jobs are at risk because of these advancements. So what is your view on where is the world heading? Will AI replace jobs?
That's a wonderful question. I think it's very important to know it is fundamentally amazing. The neural networks that make ChatGPT, it's a neural network, it's a machine learning. And as I said, change is a constant of life, and these things will get smarter. ChatGPT 4, I've used it. I have written fully fledged business plans in a discussion. Now, here's what ChatGPT will not do. Here's what ChatGPT will do. I'll give you a story. I wrote a business plan that I'm thinking of launching a company. I'll tell you the name, and you can go. It's not launched yet. Probably a year and a half from today. I buy these things and I think about them for a while. So I'm thinking of launching a lender, and when it's approved, lender against digital currencies, cryptocurrencies. Whenever it's approved in the regulatory world, we'll be ready. अभी तो कोई अप्रूवल नहीं है, तो अभी हम कुछ नहीं कर रहे. तो इस साल लगेंगे हमारे को 2 साल. I started thinking about how to do it, and I created a structure. And I'll give you an example. First, I built the financial plan. I said, अच्छा यार ये assume करो, उसका financial plan बनाओ. Then I said, ये हमारी मल्टी सिग्नेचर वॉलेट होगी. मैं आपको बताता हूँ क्या है. आपने जैसे शेयर मार्केट में, if you buy shares, your brokerage holds your shares, and they'll give you a loan against it. आप उसके से आपने 100 रुपए के शेयर आपके पास पड़े हैं, तो आपको वो they'll give you money against this to buy another maybe 50 to 100 rupees a share more. So you're almost running at a 1.5 to x leverage. Margin का account जो कहते हैं. Now, so they're holding your shares in escrow. उन्होंने अपने पास रख लिए सारे, उनके हैं वो शेयर. आपने नहीं, मार्केट टूट गई और आपने नहीं दिए पैसे, if you didn't return the money, that shares are now owned by the brokerage. So I said, what if we and there's a lot of lenders in the crypto world, and I'd come up with this idea 4 years ago, and I did nothing with this because it was not approved by the regulators, and I will not do it. It's not fully approved. Life is very short. So we sat on this idea. Our idea was, if you give us 100 rupees of crypto, and let's call it Bitcoin for a minute, I'll lend you 50 rupees against the 100 rupees of crypto. Not I am Bitford. And we will keep the 100 rupees of crypto in a what's called a 3 multi-signature wallet. So multi-sig wallets are where there is, to release the money, it's an escrow system where Hitesh signs, borrower signs, lender signs, and a third party signs. If the margin falls below, then the trusted party, which is the escrow agent, and the borrower can sign, and the security will be released. But all of this can be done in a digital form, in a completely written in Ethereum. And that code in Ethereum, when you write a multi-sig wallet, is called solidify. And why am I telling you all of this story? Because you asked me in ChatGPT. I wrote a business plan with the source code of multi-signature wallet and ChatGPT 3.5. Of course, I've got to ChatGPT 4. Can you imagine? I have a business plan with projections, how I would do credit loan obligations and sell it on Wall Street and take it public, while also doing the source code of, of this written in a language that honestly I had no idea about. Now, that's what's coming. So what does it mean to us? That means this is coming. We are not going to be able to stop this. So what it will not do. So here's an example of what it did not do. So I said, value this company. This is a true story. And I can show you the ChatGPT screenshots. It valued the company at 5.4 million. Don't ask me why, because that's the money that I said we will put into it. Then I said, dude, you're not valuing this company properly. What about if you take the future cash flow of the company and discount them back at a discount rate of 30%, as finance guys would do, the value will come to. So ChatGPT 3.5 said to me, oh, correct. So it did the valuation based on what you've suggested to me. If you have put $5 million, the company will be worth $42 million. I said, that is not correct, because you're doing the valuation on a quarterly basis and an annual basis. Make it monthly basis, change the interest rate, and revalue the company. So guess what the new value of the company came to? Take a guess. I started 5 million, got to 42 million. I changed and argued with ChatGPT. The new value came to $105 million. Company में मैं बनाएंगे अभी. It's fully on paper. ChatGPT valued the company at $100 million. अगर 5 साल के बाद ChatGPT के पास पैसे होते तो would have bought this business plan from me. मेरे को बनानी भी नहीं पड़ती कम. It'll probably get there too. But I'm just telling a story. But what it needed was the smarts of a human being. So, for example, when you write an article, you can tweak that, but that it cannot do. The neural network is not able to forecast synthesis. So, what happens? So, I'm going to come back to the question that you asked me originally. How is this world going to? Here's what ChatGPT does. I have always believed that I love physics. When I was little, I loved physics. I read every book of Feynman, and I thought it was really cool. And it was my favorite subject. And I went to engineering school. And part of the reason I became an engineer is because I love physics. But I knew I'm not that smart. मैं कोई fundamental Newton की तरह चीज नहीं निकाल दूंगा. So applied physics is engineering. So I did computer engineering, electrical engineering, masters. And I lost my love for physics. But did I become a physicist? No. I used all of those skills, interests to build around that. And then I went to business school because I realized that's what the world needs to build a solution. So I've learned many subjects. I learned computer engineering, I learned electrical engineering. I went to business school. I studied finance, organizational behavior, accounting, psychology, which is basically organizational behavior, marketing, sales, strategy, operations. But all of those disciplines, your brain connects. Your brain has, I forgot the number of trillion interconnections it has. And we'll get there where right now regular computers are running, but soon there'll be quantum computing running, which is exponentially faster. So this stuff is going to get smarter. But these assets will never be able to do two things. Blue collar work, which is people who do blue collar products have to be moved. They can't grow stuff. They cannot. And if you can ride the tiger, which means there's things that it does, like I did with it, I argued with it to create a business plan. It took me, what it did for me is I created a business plan, fully grown business plan, in less than 4 hours of interrogation. So if you see my screen, I spent, because I was reading and writing and explaining, but it took me about half a day to write something that would have taken me a week. So is it productive for me? Yes. Is it productive is it as productive for someone else? I don't know. Now, what does it take for it to be productive for you? आप क्या कर रहे हैं आज जिसके आप यूज कर? फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं आपको बड़ा सिंपल सा एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ. आप अपना बोलो, here is my, there are two ways to look at life. You can get paid by the hour. आप मानेंगे नहीं, I don't want to say this. I meet lawyers, and the lawyers will give me this is what I make by the hour. This is my billable rate by the hour. I say my most expensive lawyer runs about $2,000 an hour, and he's worth it. And I'm not going to tell you why, but he is. Why? Because he adds some value, because he has taken the experience of all of these years and combined in one brain. So when I call him, I jokingly call him, if I need to negotiate against X and Y, I use this lawyer called Y. And I'm not going to take names because they're big people. Um, why? Because he has this one click. He'll say, Acha, nahi, ye nahi, ye karenge. Now that would take me 2 weeks to figure out, and I might still not get it. Now, that is what, as we talk to ChatGPT's coming, it does cognitive thinking, but not as well as somebody who's really amazing at it. It's not going to make quantum physics, but it'll do something better than we can, but some random state will do something really well. But till then, ain't going to build. So yes, you can design a great product. To make a good product, you still need human beings. But as we go around this, how do we use this? I think the issue is not be fearful, harness this technology. So at Redford, for example, what are we doing with ChatGPT? ChatGPT comes with a couple other modules. One is called Whisper, which means it understands every language, translates every language. We've already integrated Whisper. We are integrating Whisper into a loan application process, which means you can talk to us and we can talk back to you. And all of this been done on so we're working on it. It's not live, it should be live soon. We are working with ChatGPT on loan management system, which means aapki call late thi, we will check, and the process of interrogation and chat up and down is all ChatGPT. We're also thinking of, so that's loan applications. So then loan filtering, which means we have 100 applications a week. We do 2 a week to save time and increase speed. It's going to do that. So we're using this to the best we can. I'm using this personally in creating business plans. I'm thinking of creating, I write documents. I'm doing legal documents. I'm in the middle of some intelligent discussion about some prospect. So I'm writing that in the thesis. So I'm using it, and my productivity is much higher. And my family jokingly calls it, he's the biggest abuser of ChatGPT. So I use ChatGPT Plus. So I only because it adds so much value to me that I thought it's worth the money to get that. So coming back to the point of how this is going to help them, it's just a transition in life. Like computers came around, and at least I was in engineering school when computers were going to become big, and I decided I wanted to be a computer engineer because I saw what it could do for you. I think it's a challenge that we take on and get really good at using it. The fact that it can create art, so DALI of ChatGPT is, but I see the art it created with what I gave, the queries I gave. It's nice, but it's not as nice as a creative person. It's nice, but it's not the same. So yes, you can write a long sentence and it'll do something with it and create it, but God, it's trying its best. The human creativity is different. It's always gonna exist, but you'll have something to compete against, which competition raises the standard. So if you think your skills are, for example, if you're all of the financials of a company. So we're talking about ChatGPT and the consequence of, I'm picking an example. And the reason I spend enough time in finance. So you can take a whole company report and synthesize it. It can also, in due course, it'll also, all the companies, like, the companies that should be scared of QuickBooks and those companies, all of this process should be automated and people should be able to do this on their own. But something will be left. The step, for example, so the volume can increase. For example, what can the accountant do? He says, look, ChatGPT will pick all the obvious things. For example, they always argue that the rich of the rich always have a way to pay less taxes. Donald Trump is an example of that. I'm just making him up, or not, because he uses it, and I respect the gentleman. And I have met him, and I think he's achieved amazing success, and he's the president of the United States, and I respect that. And he's under my understanding of what he's done is he's done the best he can to optimize his taxes, given the rules and complied with the rules. My understanding. But how he did that is something most other people wouldn't have done, that, because they don't have access to the thinking that does it. And I'm not going to take names. So there are people I know who have stretched. I'm finished with the President Donald Trump. The other people that I know have stretched the limit of how they save money on taxes, which is not published in a guideline, which is not what Quicken will do, which is not what ChatGPT do. But for example, there'll be categories, expenses that people will forget, and ChatGPT will learn it. Once one person teaches that to ChatGPT, it will know it forever. But there's constant creativity that will happen. So what do accountants do? I'll give you an example. मैंने business school जब finish किया ना, when I finished business school, I didn't know. I studied finance, I've done accounting, I did financial statements, I've done, computing, whatever, net present value. I've studied just the basics of balance sheets, and I've done all of that. But when I ran the company, I realized there's lots of things that need to happen. For example, when you get a bill, right? Was the bill accurate? And the bill has to be paid because you as a business have to pay your bills. So who does that? So in my company, I was talking to a friend of mine. He goes, look, the controller, this is a joke he was telling me. The controller has to be the hardest ass guy. उसने सारे bill check करने, ऊपर से एक एक पैसे का. Now he has to verify that all of that money was truly due from you and what the net payment terms are and stay within that domain. So some of those are creative elements that we'll have to focus on. The other thing that will happen is there is a synapse of transition from digital to physical that there will not be able to be done. And this could be an example of, in the case of, so to file an accounting report on your behalf, you can do it on your own always. But for some instances, you need an accountant. You need a third-party auditor. That's an accountant. Chartered accountant is an accountant in a way of speaking. He has to verify. There's the synthesis of fraud that you can hide really well, and you can do this. So maybe most of these jobs will morph to just being super smart. Eventually, the argument is, I've heard the argument, I've studied this on both sides, is eventually it'll happen that most of the simple administrative jobs could be done. I'm thinking of a dentist office. आपने फोन करके अपॉइंटमेंट शेड्यूल करनी है, आप किसी बंदे को फोन करते हो. And if there was Whisper, which is the ChatGPT's version of voice, it can accept a call, it can schedule a call, it can answer questions on basic, probably better than a human being can. That call will be replaced. So then there's a thesis in the world that a lot of these basic jobs will be replaced. What do we do with that? Now, India has already been replacing jobs in the US. So there is a notion that there will be, if you take this 10 years out from today, physical labor ain't going to be gone. Intellectual labor will stay the very top of the cream will still stay. If you could be played that society should you should get an income for just sitting around. Because काम तो सारा हो जाएगा यार. ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है? Businesses, you see, you manufacture rubber, you make rubber washers, you make balloons, you make plastic wrappers. That ain't going to be run by ChatGPT. Those businesses carry on. The transportation carries on. So what is at risk is just the simple administrative functions that can be done by. So people reskill. So obviously, always learn more than one domain. As I always say, merge as many as you can. My sister is a doctor. So my younger sister, she went to medical school. She was almost, she's an amazing doctor. She works, and she always used to joke with me, I'm always smarter than you. She always got 10 points more than me in every exam. And this is just the race, siblings have. She goes, I'm smarter than you. मैं तेरे से ज़्यादा smart. And I'm like, you are. She goes, but I don't know how, but you always make more money. मैं कहा, देखिए, I don't need to be smart to make. I just need to be street smart to make more. I don't need to be as smart as you. Yes, I tell you, you're smarter than me. So the point is, just because ChatGPT is smarter than you, I'm just giving this as an example. Doesn't mean it's gonna hurt you. You just have to. You're just human, man. You're always gonna be smarter than a machine. It's gonna get better, which only makes me want to learn more. And that's just me. So coming back to the original point, change is a constant of life. So just don't lose your curiosity and quest for knowledge. If you stay, as Charlie Munger says, quest for knowledge and curiosity, and learn the basics of every discipline, you'll be amazed at how far you can, instead of being in the belly of this tiger, you can ride this tiger.
Okay, Mr. Perry, thank you so much for your time.